So I'm just going to go through a couple of bits about scratches. There's different sorts of scratches on blanks. I have already posted a video about using Mother's Mag to polish out what I call like tiny sort of, I haven't really got any on these ones, but sometimes you get tiny, they look like little spiders, a spider's wobbled over your blank, just like little tiddly scratches, and that's where something like this, which is a proper polish with a bit of elbow grease, will bring that up absolutely, you know, really, really lovely. But then there's the other thing, the other side of it, where you've got proper scratches like this, deep scratches. So I find I've got two methods that I used if I want to go through my blanks. Now sometimes I'll just scrap these, or they'll end up in the grade B for you guys to buy and have a good practice on. The biggest thing I think is certainly when I started stamping, you didn't get tumbled blanks. Blanks didn't have plastic to one side. They were literally cut out of metal, and that you got what you got. So you learned how to take scratches out of things. But the two ways that I find to get scratches out that are really, really good are to use Garaflex blocks, which I've got 7 different grades here. I think it starts at 18, goes up to 600. So, and they're like hard rubber blocks with a grain to them. This is the harshest one, and this is the softest one. So this one's very, very rough on the edge, and this one almost feels like soap. So, and these are available. I got mine from Proops Brothers. They do a really good range of them, and they actually had the finer grades made specifically for them, so I've never seen them anywhere else. But it is like sanding paper, but it's just, I suppose to a certain degree you've got a little bit more control over it. So what I want to do is just have a look at this really deep scratch here. So I take the block, and I always go in the direction of the actual scratch itself to start with, if I can. Now these blocks, they do break up, so don't be put off by that. I just have to tap it off every now and then. The reason I got the cloth underneath is to save obviously scratching the other side of the blank, which there's nothing wrong with. So I've started to work on that, and that original scratch now is almost gone. But because there's scratches on the rest of the blank, I'm actually going to do the whole thing and try and get rid of all of them. So it's not particularly hard. Now obviously I always like to try and stick to one direction, but if you've got a bit where it's more difficult to get to, then obviously there's nothing to say that you can't turn it around the other way. So I'm still going to go in the same direction. I'll just turn the whole blank around now. So I've gone over the whole surface, and to the naked eye now, yes, the whole blank looks scratched now, but actually you can't see those scratches, and they're quite deep. So I would then move up to the next grade, or skip a grade. That's entirely up to you. But again, going in the same direction and just work the surface. And then tap that off and have another look and see whether or not I can actually see those original scratches, which I can't, which is brilliant, because that's what I wanted to get to really. Now at this point, I would tend to switch to use one of my sort of sanding discs, but you can carry on with the Garaflex blocks. I haven't even moved up into the final ones yet, so I would probably move now into something like a 320, which is quite smooth. And again, in the same direction, just go over the surface. And what you're doing is you're just kind of smoothing it all out. Now some people have sanding wheels, and other people have got Dremels and things like that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of those, and you have to kind of go with what you like the best really. So now I've done that, and then I'm going to go up to the smoothest one that I've got here, which is a 600. And this will kind of be like my final pass. Now from here, if I didn't have a tumbler, then I would work it with a nail buffer and some Mother's Mag. But to be honest, when I've got to this stage now, that feels quite smooth. I can't actually feel, I know it's not shiny, but I can't feel the actual initial scratches that were there. So I would be happy to put that in a tumbler now, give that an hour, and that invariably will come up and look, you know, like a tumble blank. So yeah, that's kind of that. I just want to go and get another example a minute and show you a different way of doing it. Should have done this earlier really. So this one is also very badly scratched, as we can see. So a different way of doing it, we've done the Garaflex block way, and that's, as I say, put that in the tumbler now and that will come up okay. The other way is I actually use these sanding discs quite a lot. Now these are self-adhesive, and I do sell them at Just Simply Blanks. They're just not on there at the minute, and they come in different grades. I start off the highest grade one I've got, which is this one, which is a 500, and this is a 320. Now the advantage with these is they stick to your worktop, and obviously providing you sort of keep them clean. I've used these two already today, but if you keep them quite clean and use in one direction, they do just the same job as the blocks, but obviously they have a more limited lifespan to them, although they do actually last quite well. So this one is quite badly scratched, so what I would do is put it on and literally just go up and down on the 320. This is, and it can get warm. You can see the surface of that now. It's taken all of those scratches out. Okay, so a little bit more, and that's taken all of those surface scratches out. And then now I'd move on to the thinner grade, or the higher grade, whichever way, the finer grade, that's the word I'm looking for. Give that a scrub up and down. Now it does make a mess of the discs, but you can just brush those out. And then now that actually feels really, really smooth. So there's two there that are ready now to just go in the tumbler, and that's exactly what I would do with them. This, I wouldn't worry about the surface too much. I would literally pop them in a tumbler and they will come up looking perfectly saved and reasonable blanks. So obviously if you want to continue to hand polish and hand buff those up now, I would move on to a nail buffer. That'd be perfectly alright to use over the top of this. Again, though, keeping in the same direction. So I would use the nail buffer on all four sides. This is if you don't have a tumbler. This does take a little bit more work, I have to say. I mean, tumblers definitely help, there's no doubt about that. So we're getting quite a nice shine now. And then once I've got to this stage, bearing in mind how badly scratched that was at the beginning, I would now move to some Mother's Mag, do that in the same direction, and I would be perfectly happy with that as a finished item for somebody. So that's the untumbled side of it. Obviously you saw what it was like when it's scratched. So it's all a case of really just kind of working them and getting the desired finish that you want, really. It doesn't come across very well on here, but apart from the fact that it's still got a few marks which I would take out with a polish, that's, you know, a very badly scratched blank now that's looking alright. Now the other thing you can use these for is if you have a die cut blank like this. So die cut is where it's been punched out like a hole punch for metal, and sometimes on them you get like a, I don't know if it will show very well, but it's like a slight marking around the edge. So with this you can just go around on the sandpaper, just keep going all the way around with it until you've gone all the way around and taken those off, and then I would get my nail buffer and just buff that now, and that will have got rid of those little marks there. The other thing that you can use these for, which is really good, if you just give them a little clean off every whit and wing, because they do get dusty, and as I say, you should wear a mask really when you're doing any kind of sanding, but I've just not done it because obviously I'm trying to get you to be able to hear me, is on the back of some die cut discs you can have like a slight rough edge, but again, if you just take it on one of the smooth ones like that and just rub it backwards and forwards, you'll find that will completely take that off for you. And also if you've got any rough edges on bigger blanks, they're really good for that as well. You can literally just go up and down on them, and that's completely taken any roughness around the edge off. And that now, I mean, this is what I use when I'm sanding up. Sometimes I get blanks that have got small marks on. I use these discs. I get to the 500, I start off normally with a 320, this one, and then once I get to the 500 I know that that can go in the tumbler, and they're absolutely fine. I think what I might do is go and put these in the tumbler, and let's see how they all turn out for you later, so you can actually see the finished results.